Okay, so let's talk comparative and absolute advantage. So I'm going to tell you a story. You can't use my story. You have to use your own. You have to come up with your own story. Okay, so let's make mine a hypothetical. We've got two individuals. We've got Zana and we have Max. And let's say Zana is this really smart, bright, she's an exceptional student, okay? She's a traditional student of traditional age. She goes to this college, this local four-year institution, and she achieves some kind of natural sciences, biological sciences degree. Zana then takes the MCAT and she applies to medical school. She applies to multiple medical schools. But let's say Zana gets accepted to the University at Albany Medical School in upstate New York. Zana does 4 years there. She decides to specialize, become a neurosurgeon. She's really exceptional, okay? Zana decides to do that, and then she goes on to fellowship. Fellowship, for those that don't know, it's this program after medical school where it's essentially on-the-job training just to prove that you're not going to kill anybody when you operate on the brain. So when Zana gets to fellowship, she puts in like another several years, and by the time she gets done with that, she's been in training to be a neurosurgeon for like 15 years, okay? After 15 years, she decides, you know what, I can, and this is opportunity cost, which is related, but not the topic. She has an opportunity cost calculation. She says, I have got offers to go work for various hospitals. They will pay me $375,000 a year. And if I stay with them for at least 10 years, they will pay off my student loans. She does some market research. She talks to some other private practice owners of neurosurgery. And she, let's just say, we're just going to come up with an assumption. She is very well convinced, and she's probably right, that she can start off in her own private practice, all expenses, and still net herself $500,000 a year as a salary that she can pay herself out of all of her production in neurosurgery, but she has to work 40 hours a week at it. Now, let's say because she's worked for the last 15 years so hard, she is not going to work any more than 40 hours a week. She says, you know what? It's time for me and my husband to have a glass of wine on a Friday at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, go a mini vacation with the kids on Saturday and Sunday, be back for work on Monday, okay? She doesn't want the headache of working 40 plus hours a week. So Zana says, I'm going to open up my own private practice. She can, and she does the math, she can grow the practice, and then she can start to pay off her loans in under 5 years and actually make more money that way than working for the hospital. So Zana decides to do that. Well, remember, Zana is really, really talented. She's an exceptional student and an exceptional brain herself. I mean, she's working on other people's brains. So Zana is also the fastest typist in all of the county that she lives and works in, okay? She can type, let's say, 95 words per minute. We're just going to assume that's the best. Not only can she type it, but she is like almost flawless in accuracy on what she types up, like her grammar, her logic, her syntax, you know, the meaning, how it's relating to whatever it is the goal of what she's writing, all of that. It's like really crisp and clear and clean. Now, Zana realizes that in order to work 40 hours a week as a brain surgeon, she has to do all the medical coding, billing, and transcribing. Zana says to herself, okay, I can do this job. I can code all my own diagnosis. I can bill the insurance companies. And she's so fast and so efficient and so smart, so competent. Her knowledge, her skill, and her ability, right, which is the core elements of the labor factor of production that you learned about previously. Her knowledge, skill, and ability is so good that she can do that job in what would take most people 40 hours a week to be a medical coder, biller, and transcriber. She can do it in 20. She doesn't need to do it in 40 hours. But that means, okay, that means that whereas her total revenue was $500,000, it's now been reduced because she's only going to work 40 hours a week. That means she can only work as a neurosurgeon 40 hours a week. That means she has to do all the medical coding, billing, transcribing for 20 hours a week. That means only 20 hours a week is going towards brain surgery. She's now making what? You got it. 250,000 gets pulled right off. Her new TR total revenue is 250 a year. Okay. All right. And that's for her. So you can call that net income of the business, but it's her total revenue personally. Okay. Zana says, you know what? I don't know about that. She has the absolute advantage in both. There's not another neurosurgeon in the county that can do that job. Or let's say there is one more, right? We can go either way. And the other neurosurgeon is able to achieve, I don't know, 300 or 400,000 a year in total revenue as a private practitioner, or they work for the hospital and they can't take as many patients and they don't have the level of production that she has in a private practice. Okay, so she has the absolute advantage. She's the best neurosurgeon in town. She's also the best typist and medical coder, biller, transcriber in town. Nobody can do it as good as her. But she finds Max. Max is a college kid. Max is a good college kid. Max isn't necessarily demonstrating right now the same level of knowledge, skill, and ability that Zana has right now or had when she was in college, but Max is a real good kid. And Max is a smart kid. And Max wants to grow his experience alongside his college education. So Max says, you know what? I'm going to go to Trine University and I'm going to study business management and marketing. And then afterwards, I'm going to get my MBA. But in the meantime, I want to get some experience. I want to learn how to manage a private practice for a doctor or a group of doctors. And I want to one day be the CEO of some medical operation somewhere. Okay. And so, or a vice president, right? Max got big goals. He's going to start by combining, theory and practice. So Max applies for the job and she says, you know what, Max, I'll offer you $50,000 a year, 40 hours a week. He can type 55 words per minute as opposed to the 95 that Zana can do. And he's reasonably right most of the time on his coding and billing. And he has to clean up sometimes, and that's why it takes him 40 hours a week. Not because he spends 20 hours a week doing it and then 20 hours cleaning it up. Let's say he spends 35 to 37.5 hours a week doing the work, and the other 2.5 to 5 hours a week checking for accuracy and cleaning up errors. Not so bad, right? And the errors don't result in anything terrible, okay? So 50,000. So now out of her 500,000, her real trade-off here, her opportunity cost there is to reduce it by the salary she pays to Max. Reducing her total revenue now as a person down to 450K annually. Still better than the 375. And she can compound an annual, her compound annual growth rate of her practice as she grows the business and operation with Max helping to some degree too, right? She can grow that 450 even higher and higher. But that's essentially the comparative advantage. She has the absolute advantage in both neurosurgery as well as in the job that Max is doing for her. And she could do it better than Max, but if she chose to do it, then her opportunity cost, right? She'd be choosing the less valuable alternative, right? She's better off outsourcing that job to Max, who can't do it as efficiently, right? So that she can focus on her job, specialization, and do it efficiently. Through trade, right, and specialization, she has now achieved comparative advantage, and so has Max. And guess what? All boats rise with the tide in this scenario. Now, do all boats rise at the same level and rate in that tide? No. Hers is rising a lot faster, okay? She's worked for it. And Max is at a different place. He's an emerging economy in and of himself, okay? But all boats rise with the tide. Everybody wins, right? Trade, specialization. Let's see your story.